Edit something black moved beneath Noah Bellamy the instant his feet left the riverbank. He hit Blackwater River with a sharp splash, and icy water closed around him, swallowing the sounds of the forest for one suspended second. When Noah surfaced, he pushed wet brown hair from his eyes and sucked in a breath that tasted of pine and cold stone. His basket of herbs rested safely beneath an alder tree 20 feet upstream. His boots and linen shirt lay folded beside it. After spending the afternoon gathering feverfew along dusty woodland paths, the secluded bend had seemed like the perfect place to wash before walking back to the village. Noah had checked the bank twice. He had not checked beneath the water. 30 feet downstream, King Evander Thorne opened his golden eyes in the darkness below the surface. In wolf form, the Alpha King was enormous, black fur drifting around him as the current slid across his back. He had entered the river after a long territorial patrol, using the deep channel to move unseen toward the northern boundary. Then something had changed. A scent had reached him through the water. Wild mint. White clover. Omega. Evander stopped swimming. Above him, Noah dipped his hands into the river and splashed his face. The water was cold enough to raise goosebumps along his arms, but sunlight still burned gold between the branches overhead. He heard a kingfisher call. Leaves whispered. Then the river went strangely quiet. Noah lowered his hands. A circle of ripples widened several yards away. Hello. Nothing answered. He stared at the dark water. Another ripple appeared. Closer. Noah backed toward the shallows. His heels slipped across a smooth stone, sending a splash through the quiet bend. Beneath the surface, Evander's wolf reacted before the king could suppress it. The Omega scent sharpened. Every instinct demanded that he move closer, identify him, keep him within sight. Evander dug his claws into the gravel riverbed instead. Stay down. Noah reached waist-deep water. A dark shape passed beneath him. He froze. It was far too large to be a fish. Noah turned toward shore. The shape turned with him. Nope. He started moving faster. Water dragged against his legs while stones shifted under his feet. 10 feet from shore, something brushed past his ankle, not touching him, only disturbing the current, and Noah stumbled. His hand struck the water. Behind him came a deep splash. Noah spun around. A massive black wolf rose from the river. Water poured from its fur in silver streams. Its shoulders stood above the surface, its ears forward, its golden eyes fixed directly on Noah. Noah forgot to breathe. The wolf did too. Wild mint and clover reached Evander unobstructed now, and the Alpha King's control fractured for one dangerous heartbeat. His wolf stepped forward. Noah stepped back. Evander stopped instantly. Noah's fingers closed around a river stone. Stay there. The absurdity of ordering a wolf twice his size did not occur to him until afterward. The animal lowered its head. Noah blinked. You understand me? Golden eyes remained on his face. Noah took another backward step. The wolf did not follow. Then a branch cracked sharply in the woods behind Noah. The wolf's entire posture changed. Its head snapped toward the trees, lips pulling back just enough to expose white teeth, not at Noah, but at whatever had made that sound. A second crack came from the underbrush. Closer. Noah looked toward his clothes on the bank, then back at the enormous creature between him and the deep river. The wolf moved. In 2 powerful strides, Evander passed Noah and planted himself between the Omega and the forest, water streaming from his black coat. A low warning rolled through his chest. Whatever waited among the trees retreated with hurried footsteps through dead leaves. Silence returned. Noah stared at the wolf's broad back. The animal slowly looked over its shoulder at him. For the first time, Noah noticed something impossible around its neck beneath the wet black fur. A narrow silver chain bearing the royal crest of King Evander Thorne. Edit Noah kept the river stone raised until the black wolf deliberately turned its teeth away from him. Water streamed from the animal's coat, striking the shallows with soft silver taps, while the retreating footsteps vanished among the pines. Noah stood knee-deep in Blackwater River, cold current pressing against his legs and the scent of wet moss filling every breath. The royal crest still gleamed beneath the wolf's throat. Where did you get that? Noah whispered. One black ear flicked toward him. The wolf moved onto the bank, then stopped beside Noah's folded clothes rather than approaching him. It turned its broad body toward the forest and sat, guarding him. Noah lowered the stone. You're waiting for me to get out. Golden eyes glanced toward him, then immediately returned to the trees. Noah almost laughed despite himself. Fine. Keep looking that way. The wolf did. Noah climbed from the river, quickly dried himself with the linen cloth from his herb basket, dressed, and pulled on his boots. By the time he fastened his shirt, his fingers had begun trembling from the cold. He reached for his basket. A growl rolled across the clearing. Noah froze. The wolf was staring beyond his shoulder. Something moved between two tree trunks. Not a person this time. A lean gray wild wolf emerged from the brush, ribs visible beneath its coat. Another shape shifted farther back. Noah slowly reached for the small knife used to cut herbs. The black wolf stepped in front of him. The gray animal advanced. Evander's warning deepened until Noah felt it through the soles of his boots. His black fur lifted along his shoulders, making him seem even larger, but he did not charge. The gray wolf stopped. For several seconds, only the river moved, rushing over stones behind them. Then the wild animal lowered its head and retreated. The second shadow disappeared with it. Evander waited until their scent faded before relaxing. Noah stared at his back. You could have attacked them. The wolf looked over his shoulder. But you didn't. Noah slid his knife away. Wild mint and white clover drifted from him as his heartbeat slowed. Evander caught the scent again. His head lifted sharply. The instinct returned with brutal simplicity. Closer. Keep him close. The Alpha King took one step toward Noah. Noah's hand tightened around his basket. Evander stopped. The hesitation changed something. Noah crouched carefully, leaving several feet between them. You understand everything I'm saying, don't you? Evander held his gaze. Noah pointed at the silver crest. And that belongs to the king. The wolf looked toward the distant castle towers barely visible above the forest canopy. Noah followed his gaze. Are you one of his royal wolves? Evander could have shifted. He could have answered. Instead, he remained silent. Revealing the Wolf King's other form to an Omega he had met minutes ago would turn this strange encounter into something Noah could not easily escape. Noah stood again. All right, keep your secrets. He started along the woodland path toward Bellamy village. Behind him came the soft impact of paws on damp earth. Noah turned. Evander stopped 10 feet away. No, the wolf's ears tilted forward. You protected me. Thank you. But you are absolutely not following me home. Evander sat. Noah resumed walking. 20 yards later, he glanced back. The wolf remained where he had left him. Noah continued through the trees until the river could no longer be heard. Only then did Evander rise. He followed from far enough away that Noah never saw him again, tracking the Omega until the first village lanterns appeared through the branches. When Noah safely entered the herbalist's cottage, Evander finally turned toward the castle. The next morning, Noah was grinding feverfew when horses stopped outside. A royal messenger entered carrying a black envelope sealed with silver wax. Noah Bellamy? Noah wiped herb dust from his fingers. Yes. The messenger offered him the summons. His Majesty King Evander Thorne requests your services at the castle. Noah broke the seal, and beside the king's name was the same wolf-shaped royal crest he had watched dripping with river water the night before. The first thing Noah noticed about King Evander Thorne was that his eyes were exactly the color of the wolf's. Golden, steady, impossible to forget. Noah stopped 3 steps inside the royal apothecary, his herb case hanging from one hand, while morning light streamed through tall windows and turned hundreds of glass bottles into amber sparks. The room smelled of cedar shelves, dried sage, and freshly crushed mint. Evander stood beside a stone work table in a dark coat edged with silver, broad shoulders motionless beneath the fabric. Around his neck, partly hidden by his collar, gleamed a narrow silver chain. Noah's fingers tightened around his case. Mr. Bellamy, Evander said. The voice did not belong to an animal, obviously. Yet Noah remembered standing knee-deep in Blackwater River and ordering a massive wolf to stay. He remembered those golden eyes obeying him. Your Majesty. Noah bowed. Evander's jaw shifted when wild mint and white clover reached him across the room. His hand closed against the table. Noah noticed that too. I was told you needed an herbalist. The Northern Patrol returned with several cases of river fever. Evander gestured toward a collection of written symptoms. The royal physicians requested feverfew from your district. Noah opened his case. Then they summoned the right person. He crossed to the work table, and began sorting bundles. Evander moved backward, not forward. Noah paused. The king had placed nearly 8 feet between them. The wolf had done the same thing whenever Noah showed discomfort. "Do I smell unpleasant, your majesty?" Evander's gaze snapped toward him. "No, interesting." Noah crushed a feverfew leaf between his fingers. Its bitter scent joined the mint in the room. "Because you keep backing away. I prefer giving people space." "Do you?" Noah looked directly into those golden eyes. Evander said nothing. Noah returned to his work. He measured dried leaves into 6 paper packets, labeled each dosage, then reached toward a high shelf for an empty bottle. His fingers missed it by an inch. Evander crossed the distance instinctively and caught the bottle before it tipped. Suddenly, they stood less than 2 feet apart. Noah's scent surrounded him. Evander's breath stopped. The glass bottle creaked beneath his grip. Noah slowly looked from the king's hand to his face. Evander immediately set the bottle down and stepped back. "Forgive me." Noah touched the silver chain visible at Evander's collar with his gaze, not his hand. "Where did you get that?" Evander went still. "The chain. The crest." Noah closed his herb case. "I saw one yesterday. Royal crests are common around the capital. Not underwater." Silence. Somewhere beyond the windows, a bell rang from the castle courtyard. Noah walked toward the door. Evander followed 2 steps before catching himself. Noah heard the boots stop behind him. He turned. "There. You did it again." "Did what?" "Followed me." Evander's expression hardened into the controlled mask of a king. "You were summoned here to prepare medicine, and I prepared it." Noah opened the door. Cold corridor air brushed his face. "So I'm leaving." Evander's fingers curled at his side. Noah stepped through. "Mr. Bellamy." Noah stopped without turning. "Avoid Blackwater River for the next several days." Now Noah looked back. "Why?" "There are wolves in that forest." "I met one." Evander's gaze held his. "So I understand." Noah walked away, but the warning followed him all afternoon. Near sunset, he deliberately took the woodland path home. Pine needles softened his footsteps, and damp earth released a dark, clean scent beneath his boots. Halfway to the village, he stopped beside an ancient oak. "You can come out now." Nothing moved. Noah waited. A black wolf stepped silently from between the trees. Golden eyes met his. The silver royal crest gleamed beneath its throat. Noah did not retreat this time. He folded his arms. "Tomorrow morning," he said, "I'm coming back to the castle." The wolf's ears lifted. Noah pointed toward him. "And King Evander Thorne is going to explain why he has your eyes." Evander was waiting beside Blackwater River when Noah arrived at dawn, and this time the king had nowhere left to hide. Pale light spilled between the pines, silvering the fast-moving water, while wet earth and crushed ferns scented the cold air. Evander stood on the same gravel bank where Noah had abandoned his clothes 2 days earlier, dressed in a black riding coat with a narrow silver chain visible at his throat. Noah stopped 10 feet away. "You knew I would come here. You said you wanted an explanation." "At the castle. There are fewer counselors here." Noah glanced toward the river. "And more suspicious wolves." Evander almost smiled. Noah did not. He removed a small object from his pocket and held it up, a charcoal rubbing of the royal wolf crest. This was carved above the throne room. Same shape, same markings, same crest hanging around that wolf's neck. Evander looked at it without answering. Noah stepped closer. "Yesterday that animal followed me through the forest. The day before, it was beneath me in the river before I even knew it was there." Evander's jaw tightened. "I never intended to frighten you." "That isn't an answer." "No." The river rushed over black stones behind them. Somewhere high in the trees, a raven called once. Noah folded the paper and returned it to his pocket. "Were you the wolf?" Evander held his gaze. "Yes." Noah's breath left visibly in the cold. He had expected the answer. Hearing it still changed the ground beneath his feet. "Prove it." Evander removed his coat and laid it across a fallen log. "Step back." Noah did, but only 3 feet. "Further. You didn't respect distance very well when you were following me." "I'm trying to improve." Noah moved several more steps away. Evander unclasped the silver chain, wrapped it around his wrist, then lowered one hand to the earth. The transformation came quickly but without violence. His silhouette blurred beneath a sweep of dark shadow, his frame expanding as black fur replaced fabric and human shape. Seconds later, the enormous wolf stood where the Alpha King had been. Golden eyes met Noah's. The forest suddenly seemed smaller. Noah's hand moved toward the herb knife at his belt, then stopped. The wolf lowered himself to the ground. Not stalking, not advancing, waiting. Noah walked around him slowly. Wet pine needles softened each footstep. It really was you. One black ear shifted toward him. Noah stopped near the river. You were under the water before I jumped in. The wolf dipped his head once. And you smelled me. Another slow movement. That's why you stayed. Evander's claws pressed into the earth. Noah understood the answer anyway. He stepped closer until only 5 feet separated them. Wild mint and white clover drifted through the clearing. The wolf's head rose sharply. His golden eyes brightened, and one paw moved forward. Noah immediately lifted his hand. Stay. Evander froze. The same command. The same river. But now Noah knew exactly who was obeying him. Seconds passed. Evander backed away instead. Noah lowered his hand. Change back. Shadow moved over the wolf's body again, and Evander returned in human form, retrieving his coat before facing Noah. You could have told me at the castle. I could have. Why didn't you? Evander fastened the coat slowly. Because the moment I caught your scent, my wolf wanted you within reach. I did not trust that instinct enough to place its meaning on your shoulders. Noah's eyes narrowed. Meaning? Evander looked toward the river where they had first met. There are old bonds among royal wolves. Rare ones. Noah stepped directly into his line of sight. Don't give me half an answer again. Evander's golden eyes settled on him. Then come to the royal healer with me. Let him test what happened between us. Noah considered the open forest path behind him. He could return to Bellamy village. Evander made no move to block it. Noah instead walked past the king toward the castle road. Fine. Evander turned after him. Noah glanced back. But if anyone decides a test result gives you ownership of me, I leave. Evander followed at a measured distance. Then if anyone says it, they answer to me first. The royal healer set the silver testing vial down and looked at Noah as if the glass had just spoken. Blue-white morning light poured through the infirmary windows, glinting across brass instruments and rows of polished bottles, while the bitter scent of medicinal bark mixed with the wild mint clinging to Noah's clothes. Evander stood 12 feet away beside the closed door, exactly where Noah had told him to remain. Dr. Alden Mercer adjusted his spectacles and examined the faint golden line glowing inside the vial. Again, he said. Noah frowned. You already tested it twice. And twice I assumed the instrument was wrong. Mercer placed a fresh crystal strip against Noah's wrist, waited until it warmed, then carried it across the room toward Evander. The moment the strip entered the Alpha King's scent range, gold spread through the crystal like sunlight beneath ice. Mercer stopped. Evander's fingers tightened around the carved wooden chair beside him. Say it, Noah said. The healer looked between them. Royal wolves sometimes recognize a compatible bond before either person consciously understands it. Usually the response is mild. He lifted the glowing strip. This is not mild. Noah glanced at Evander. So that was what happened in the river. Yes, Mercer said. Your scent reached his wolf first. The memory returned with uncomfortable clarity. Dark water beneath Noah's feet, a massive shape turning below him, golden eyes rising through silver ripples. Noah rubbed his thumb across his palm. Does a bond mean I lose the right to leave? Mercer opened his mouth, but Evander answered first. No, his voice struck the quiet room like a door closing. Noah looked at him. Evander crossed to a writing desk, pulled a sheet of royal stationery toward him, and dipped a pen into black ink. What are you doing? Removing the question. The scratch of the pen filled the room. Evander wrote quickly, pressed his signet ring into dark silver wax, then handed the document to Mercer. Record it. Mercer read the page and lifted his eyebrows. Noah took it from him. By royal order, Noah Bellamy would remain legally free to refuse residence, protection, courtship, or any bond ceremony regardless of compatibility. Noah read the final line twice. You wrote this before asking me to stay. Because if I ask afterward, you'll know you can say no. The faint smell of hot wax hung between them. Noah folded the decree carefully. Then asked. Evander's golden gaze remained steady. Stay at the castle temporarily. The reaction is strongest when my wolf cannot confirm where you are. Until I learn to control it. Remaining nearby would make things safer. Safer for whom? Everyone. Noah almost smiled. Including me? Evander hesitated. Especially you. Noah walked toward him. At 6 feet, Evander's shoulders stiffened. At 4, his breathing changed. Noah stopped there deliberately. And if I choose Bellamy Village? Then I will not stop you. Even if your wolf wants to. Evander's hand curled once at his side. My wolf does not make your decisions. Noah watched him for another second, then turned toward the infirmary door. Mercer stepped aside. Evander did not move. Noah opened the door, and cooler corridor air carried the smell of stone and burning cedar inside. I'm going home. Silence followed. Noah looked back. The Alpha King remained beside the chair, every line of his body demanding movement while his boots stayed planted against the floor. I understand, Evander said. Noah tucked the signed decree inside his coat and walked away. He expected footsteps behind him. None came. By sunset, the castle towers had disappeared beyond the trees, and the familiar roofs of Bellamy Village rose ahead. Noah had nearly reached his cottage when the chapel bell began hammering wildly across the valley. Villagers rushed into the road. Horses screamed inside a nearby stable. Then a howl rolled from the northern woods, low, powerful, unmistakable. Noah turned toward the forest. A second howl answered from much closer, and through the gathering dusk, a massive black wolf burst from between the pines and placed himself squarely between Noah and whatever was coming. The black wolf hit the village road just as 3 lean shapes broke from the northern trees. Lantern flames snapped in the evening wind, throwing copper light across cottage walls, while frightened horses kicked against stable doors and filled the air with the smell of hay and sweat. Noah recognized Evander before those golden eyes ever found him. The Alpha King planted all 4 paws between Noah and the approaching wolves, his wet black coat rising along his shoulders as a warning growl rolled through the road. Everyone inside, Noah shouted. He seized the chapel bell rope and pulled hard. Bronze thunder burst overhead. Villagers who had frozen near the well finally moved, gathering children and dragging market carts away from the road. The 3 wild wolves slowed at the edge of the lantern light. Evander did not charge them. He advanced 1 measured step. They stopped. Another. The largest gray wolf lowered its head, then backed toward the trees. Its companions followed. Within seconds, the darkness swallowed them. Evander remained motionless until the last rustle faded beneath the ringing bell. Then his head turned immediately toward Noah. Noah stood beside the chapel steps, breathing hard, one hand still wrapped around the rough rope. Their eyes met. Evander took half a step toward him and stopped himself. Noah released the rope. You came anyway. The wolf lowered his head. But you didn't follow me home. One ear shifted. Noah looked toward the northern woods. Understanding arrived slowly. You followed them. Evander dipped his head once. Royal riders appeared minutes later, torches glowing between the trees. They secured the village perimeter while Noah moved from house to house checking frightened residents. When he returned to the road, Evander had shifted back. The king stood near the well in a spare cloak brought by one of his guards, firelight tracing gold along his dark hair. He kept nearly 15 feet between himself and Noah. The wolves crossed the northern boundary, Evander said. My patrol found their trail after you left the castle. So you came here? Yes. Because of the village? Evander's gaze moved toward the cottages. Because people were in danger. Then it returned to Noah. And because you were among them. Noah walked closer. Evander stayed still. You could order me back to the castle now. I could. You could claim this proves your warning. It proves wild wolves crossed a boundary. Evander's voice remained quiet. Nothing more. Noah stopped 6 feet away. Cedar smoke drifted between them from a nearby chimney. Your wolf wants me closer. Evander's fingers flexed beneath the cloak. Yes. And you're still letting me stay here. You already chose. Noah studied him beneath the flickering lantern. The creature that had lurked beneath Blackwater River had seemed enormous because Noah had known nothing about it. Now he understood exactly how much strength Evander was holding back. That restraint changed the shape of the memory. Come with me, Noah said. Evander's brow tightened. Where? Not tonight. Tomorrow. Noah glanced toward the dark ribbon of forest beyond the cottages. Blackwater River. Evander went completely still. Why? Because everything started there, and I'm tired of being afraid of a place because I didn't understand what was underneath me. Noah, you wanted me at the castle because your wolf needed certainty. Noah stepped close enough to place the folded royal decree into Evander's hand. Now I need certainty. Evander looked down at the paper guaranteeing Noah's freedom, then back at him. What are you asking? Noah's fingers left the decree. Tomorrow at sunset, meet me at the same bend. As king, Noah shook his head. As the wolf. For several seconds, only the lanterns crackled. Then Evander closed his hand around the decree. I'll be there. Noah turned toward his cottage, but before entering, he looked back once. Evander had not followed. The Alpha King remained beneath the village lantern, exactly where Noah had left him, while somewhere beyond the trees Blackwater River waited for Noah to return by choice. Noah stepped into Blackwater River again, but this time he knew exactly what waited beneath the silver surface. Sunset burned copper between the pines, laying long bars of light across the current, while cold water pressed through Noah's boots and the scent of wet stone mixed with crushed mint from the herbs in his coat pocket. 10 feet downstream, the enormous black wolf stood chest deep in the river. Evander had arrived first. He had not hidden beneath the water. He had not approached the bank. He simply waited where Noah could see him. Noah stopped knee-deep. You remembered. Golden eyes held his. Same place. The wolf lowered his head once. Noah moved another step forward. Water curled around his legs. His pulse beat visibly beneath his jaw, but he kept walking until only 6 feet separated them. Evander remained perfectly still. The first time I came here, I thought something was hunting me. One black ear tilted toward him. Then I thought you were following me because I was an Omega. Noah looked down as a cluster of yellow leaves spun between them. Maybe part of you was. Evander's claws shifted against the river stones. But yesterday you had every excuse to take control. You didn't. Noah raised his gaze. Change back. Shadow passed across the wolf's body. Moments later, Evander stood in the shallows in the dark clothes he had left folded nearby before shifting, the silver royal chain resting against his collar. He remained exactly where the wolf had been. You asked me here for certainty, he said. So ask. Noah swallowed. If Dr. Mercer is right, what does the bond want? Evander's eyes did not leave him. Proximity, recognition, trust. And eventually, the river rushed loudly through the silence. A permanent bond, if both people choose it. Noah rubbed his thumb against the rough seam of his sleeve. Your wolf already chose. My wolf recognized you. Evander stepped backward through the water, deliberately widening the space between them. That is not the same as you choosing me. Noah watched him retreat. What if I never do? Evander answered without hesitation. Then I learned to live with that. And if your council orders otherwise? They do not command me. The law might. Evander's mouth tightened. Then the law changes. Noah stared at him. Cold water slipped around his knees, carrying tiny bubbles downstream. You make that sound easy. It won't be. Then why? Evander looked toward the place where Noah had first jumped into the river. Because when I smelled you that day, my wolf wanted to surface immediately. To get close. To keep you where I could see you. His fingers curled once beside his leg. I stayed underwater because you had not invited me into your life. Noah's breath caught. You were fighting yourself before I even knew you existed. Yes. And when you finally surfaced? Something moved in the forest behind you. Evander's voice dropped. Protecting you became more important than hiding. Noah stepped closer. Evander did not move. That's what scares me, Noah said. Not the wolf. His voice nearly disappeared beneath the current. The fact that when you stayed away yesterday, I kept looking toward the trees anyway. Evander's expression changed, but he made no attempt to close the remaining distance. Noah continued until one pace separated them. Wild mint and clover filled the cool air. Evander drew a slow breath. Noah, don't decide what this means for me. I won't. Noah lifted his hand, hesitated, then placed his palm against Evander's open hand. The Alpha King's fingers remained motionless until Noah deliberately closed his own around them. Only then did Evander answer the touch. Tomorrow, Noah said, I'm going to the castle with you. Evander's eyes sharpened. You don't have to. I know. Noah looked toward the distant towers beyond the forest. That's why I'm going. By the time they left Blackwater River, darkness had settled beneath the trees, and Noah walked beside the Alpha King instead of ahead of the wolf. Neither of them saw the royal rider waiting at the forest boundary until he dismounted and bowed. Your Majesty, the council has invoked the old wolf crown statute. Evander's hand went still beside Noah's. The messenger swallowed. They expect you to claim your recognized Omega before tomorrow's final bell. The final bell would ring at sunset, but Evander shattered the old law before noon. The great council chamber smelled of hot candle wax and cedar smoke, while pale daylight spilled through towering windows onto a semicircle of alpha nobles dressed in black and silver. Noah stood near the doors in his plain village coat, dried river mud still marking one boot. Evander occupied the center of the marble floor rather than the throne. Chancellor Aldrich Vale lifted a parchment bearing the ancient wolf crown seal. The statute is explicit, Your Majesty. A royal wolf that recognizes a compatible Omega must secure the bond before the final bell. Noah heard leather creak as Evander closed one hand. Secure, Evander repeated. The language predates the current crown. The law remains. Vale glanced toward Noah. Until the bond is formalized, the Omega's freedom of movement must be restricted for the stability of the royal wolf. Noah took one step forward. Evander raised a hand, not toward Noah, but toward the guards. Open the doors. The guards obeyed. Cold corridor air swept through the chamber, carrying the distant clang of the courtyard smithy. Evander looked directly at Noah. You may leave whenever you choose. Murmurs erupted around the council table. Vale struck the parchment with 2 fingers. If he leaves before the bell, you violate crown law. Then watch closely. Evander took the decree he had signed in the infirmary from inside his coat and placed it beside the ancient statute. Noah Bellamy is not royal property. He is not subject to confinement because my wolf recognized his scent. Your wolf has already demonstrated instability. My wolf demonstrated restraint. Evander's voice sharpened. At Blackwater River, Noah was alone, unaware of who I was, and within reach. I stayed beneath the water until danger approached him. When he ordered me to stop, I stopped. Noah's fingers tightened around the strap of his herb case. The room had transformed the strangest moment of his life into evidence against Evander, yet the king was using that same moment to defend Noah's choice. Vale turned toward the assembled nobles. The crown exists above personal preference. Evander crossed to the council table. No, the crown exists beneath the law it deserves to enforce. He lifted the old statute. For one heartbeat, only the fireplace crackled. Then Evander tore the parchment cleanly in half. Several counselors rose. Your Majesty, Vale shouted. Evander tore it again and dropped the pieces onto the marble. Record my ruling. Recognition creates no ownership. Compatibility creates no obligation. No alpha, including the king, may claim an Omega without freely given consent. Vale's face drained of color. You cannot erase centuries with one declaration. Then I'll spend the rest of my reign erasing every line necessary. The finality in his voice silenced the room. Noah walked forward. Every eye followed him. He stopped beside Evander, close enough for wild mint and white clover to reach the alpha. Evander's breathing changed, but he did not touch him. You knew refusing them could weaken your authority, Noah said quietly. Yes, and you did it before knowing what I would choose. That was the point. Noah looked at the torn statute scattered across the floor. Then he faced the council. I came here voluntarily. Vale's mouth opened. Noah continued. And I'm leaving voluntarily. Evander's gaze shifted toward him, but he gave no command. Noah walked through the open doors. His footsteps echoed down the stone corridor. 20 yards. 30. No one followed. Outside, afternoon sunlight warmed the courtyard stones, and the scent of horses and fresh-cut grass replaced the smoke of the council chamber. Noah reached the castle gate before turning around. Evander stood far behind beneath the archway, exactly where choice required him to remain. Noah raised his voice. Blackwater River. Sunset. Evander's golden eyes widened. Noah stepped backward toward the road. Come as the wolf. This time, when Noah turned away, he smiled. At sunset, there would be no council, no statute, no royal command between them. Only the river, the Omega who once jumped blindly into it, and the Alpha King's wolf waiting to discover whether Noah would walk toward him knowing exactly what lurked beneath. At sunset, the wolf was waiting on the riverbank instead of hiding beneath the water. Blackwater River carried ribbons of molten gold between dark stones, and the evening air smelled of pine resin, wet moss, and the wild mint crushed beneath Noah's boots. Evander lay beneath the alder tree where Noah's herb basket had rested on the day they met, his enormous black body completely visible, his golden eyes following Noah, but making no demand. Noah stopped at the water's edge. For a moment, the first afternoon returned in fragments. The sudden plunge into icy water, the shadow moving underneath him, the terrible splash behind him, the impossible creature rising from the river. He looked at Evander now. You could have waited underwater. One black ear lifted. Very dramatic. Terrible for trust. The wolf released a low sound that was almost offended. Noah laughed softly, and the sound traveled across the water. Then he removed his boots. Evander immediately rose. Noah held up one finger. Stay. The Alpha King's wolf stopped. Noah stepped barefoot into the river. Cold water wrapped around his ankles, then his calves. Pebbles shifted smoothly beneath his feet, and the current tugged at his trousers. This time there was no unseen shape below him. No mystery. No hidden predator. Evander stood exactly where Noah could see him. Noah reached the place where he had first noticed the ripples and turned. That first day, you knew what I was before I knew what you were. The wolf lowered his head. That wasn't fair. Another slow dip. But you had power over me then, and you chose not to use it. Noah walked back toward shore. Evander remained still even when wild mint and clover reached him across the water. Noah stopped directly before him. The wolf's wet nose was nearly level with his chest. Noah lifted his hand. Evander did not move closer. Noah closed the remaining distance himself and pressed his palm against the thick black fur between the wolf's eyes. Warmth met his cold fingers. Evander's eyes closed. That, Noah whispered, was my choice. His fingers moved once through the damp fur before he stepped back. Change. Shadow swept over Evander. Moments later the king stood before him, dressed in the simple dark clothes he had left nearby, silver chain absent, crown nowhere in sight. The council recorded the new ruling, Evander said. The old statute is finished. And Bellamy village? Royal patrols will guard the northern boundary. Not you. The entire village. Noah nodded. Good. Evander watched him carefully. You are still free to return home tonight. Noah glanced toward his boots beside the river. I know. You are free to refuse the bond. I know. And if you come to the castle, you'll have your own rooms, your own work, and the right to leave whenever you wish. Noah's mouth curved. You prepared an entire speech. Several. Your wolf probably hated all of them. My wolf would prefer one sentence. Which is? Evander looked at him. Stay. The word hung between the rushing river and whispering pines. Evander immediately added, but only if. Noah took his hand. The king stopped speaking. I'm not staying because your wolf recognized me, Noah said. I'm staying because when you had the power to choose for both of us, you chose to give mine back. Evander slowly closed his fingers around Noah's. Then what happens to the bond? Noah stepped beside him rather than behind him. We find out together. Weeks later, Noah still worked in Bellamy village 3 days each week. Evander never ordered otherwise. Sometimes the king traveled with him in human form. Sometimes a giant black wolf appeared silently at the forest boundary and waited until Noah noticed him. And sometimes, when their work was finished, they returned to Blackwater River. On one warm evening, Noah set down his herb basket and jumped into the water without warning. Evander surfaced in wolf form several yards away, spraying water everywhere. I knew you were there, Noah shouted, laughing as he splashed him. The wolf bounded toward him, stopping exactly when Noah raised his hand, until Noah lowered it and invited him closer. The river where an Omega had once unknowingly entered the territory of a hidden alpha wolf became the place where neither of them ever needed to hide again. And when Noah reached for Evander beneath the fading gold of sunset, the king finally understood that the bond had never begun when his wolf caught an Omega's scent. It began when Noah knew exactly who was waiting in the water and chose him anyway.